Hi, my name is Bob Brennaman. I'm a realtor here in Charleston, South Carolina. Today I'm sitting here in Mount Pleasant and we're going to tackle our most ambitious video project to date. That is a driving tour of every neighborhood in Mount Pleasant. Today's part will be part one, and it'll really focus on some of the neighborhoods closest into Charleston on the Mount Pleasant side, and we're going to work our way all the way up over the next several weeks into North Mount Pleasant. I hope you guys enjoy it today, and if you have any questions along the way, please let me know. I'm here to answer them. Thanks so much. All right, y'all, we are underneath the Ravenel Bridge, and we're going to pull out and start our driving tour to complete everything in Mount Pleasant, hopefully by the time it's all said and done. And we're going to start with the luxury condominiums that were built in probably 2007 called the Tides. And the Tides right now consist of 3 buildings, about 150 units. They are calling for a 4th building that's in the planning stages. It's going to have another 55 units is what I'm being told right now. The Tides condominiums, luxury condominiums, top-notch workout facility, pool, great vistas of Charleston Harbor and the marshes and the creeks, full-time staff, concierge, just pretty much anything that you would need if you were a luxury buyer. It's pretty much encompassed here in the Tides. The Tides, I've taken people through these over the years, and the feedback I've gotten has been, they're really pretty. There's a lot of glass to them. There's a lot of concrete and steel. Very high rating as far as hurricanes go. But some people's feedback is it's a sterile feel on the inside, and even on the exterior of these kind of look sterile. But I think, if you want close proximity to Charleston, you've got a pool out here over to our right. But if you want close proximity to Charleston, you want a luxury condominium complex, you want something that's more or less turnkey that you could come and use as either a full-time residence or, a lot of these being bought as second homes. And you're literally 3 minutes to downtown Charleston, as you can see when we pulled out where we just left Memorial Park. So we're right here at the foot of the bridge in Mount Pleasant. If you're wanting to get close to Charleston without being into Charleston, this is a pretty good option, I think. And again, it's the Tides condominiums. If you want a tour of them, you can just give me a call and I can get us in. They have 1 to 4 bedrooms. It just depends on the layout, and prices anywhere from the 700,000s up to a couple million, depending on the size and the orientation to the water. All right, so we left the Tides condominium. We're back on Harry Hallman Parkway, which is where Memorial Park is. And we're going to head over to the other luxury condominium complex in Mount Pleasant. It's called the Renaissance. All right, so we're coming out off of Harry Hallman Parkway onto Patriots Point Road, and Patriots Point Road is the place where the College of Charleston's athletic complex is. The town of Mount Pleasant more or less is partnered in with this complex, and it's used for obviously College of Charleston related stuff, but the town of Mount Pleasant uses it for rec space and for ball games, soccer, tennis facilities. It ties in very nicely to the Patriots Point Museum. And right next to the sports complex to our left is the Renaissance condominiums, which I was talking about earlier. And the Renaissance condominiums is 2 buildings that are really oriented to, overlook Charleston Harbor and out to the bridge. And, really, again, pretty vistas of the area. These are a little more formal, I think, on the inside and even the exteriors. I've gotten good feedback over the years as I've taken people on tours through here. I think these condos set up well. I'll be honest, a lot of them, because they were built in the early 2000s, need to be redone on the inside. The kitchens, they have Sub-Zero and some Wolf appliances, but a lot of the kitchens are, a little bit dated even with good appliances like that. But they have a nice pool area. They have the Grand Renaissance Club Room, which is an area that you can, host events. They have a library, they have a caterer's kitchen, a cardiovascular theater. Not really sure what that is, but I guess it's a gym. The terrace garden, again, a harborside pool overlooking Riverwalk. So you're only a couple minutes from downtown Charleston. If you're, again, a luxury condo buyer and you're considering the Charleston area, and even if you're considering downtown Charleston, I think it's worth coming over here and looking at this. These are, mid-rise condos. Most of them are 2 and 3 bedrooms. I have seen some that are 4 bedrooms. It just depends on the orientation and how they were, originally laid out. But, I think an interesting, place to consider if you're looking in this area. Prices at shooting of this video anywhere from the probably 600,000 for a 1 bedroom all the way up to probably a couple $1 million for a 3 or 4 bedroom. And we're going to head out of here. We're going to go into check out a couple of single family neighborhoods. We'll talk about that in just a second. All right, so we're coming off Patriots Point Road, turning on to Coleman Boulevard. Back over to behind us is the bridge to downtown Charleston. And again, we're on Coleman Boulevard, so we're heading, in the direction towards Sullivan's Island. But we're going to first stop in probably one of the original neighborhoods in Mount Pleasant, or at least one that dates back to the 1950s. It's called Bayview Acres. And Bayview is kind of a mixed bag of houses. It's somewhat like the old village of Mount Pleasant. You can see there's new construction being built back here. There's older homes. There's a little park center that we're going to ride through. But there's, these are nice sized lots for Mount Pleasant. I mean, we're talking about, in a lot of cases, half-acre lots. Some of the houses are built on the ground, so I would have, some pause as far as, if I was looking at here, if I was in downtown Charleston working and I wanted to be in Mount Pleasant for the schools, then, this would be a really great place because you can be in Charleston in 2 minutes. But I would keep in mind that some of these houses were built in the 50s, and houses that are built in the 50s sometimes are, the flood insurance can be higher than what you would typically see in a house that was built, say, in the, the 90s or even today. So you can see as we're riding through here, it's a mixed bag neighborhood, like I said earlier, but lots of trees. Your schools that you're zoned into are Mount Pleasant Academy and Moultrie Middle School, so you've got great grade and a great middle school for your kids to go to. Wando High School is probably about a 15-minute drive further into North Mount Pleasant. And a lot of the homes along here have just awesome vistas and views of downtown Charleston, out to the harbor, and adjacent to Bayview Acres is Patriots Point Golf Course, which we just kind of came out of a few minutes ago, but that's, if you're a golfer, you're right next to a golf course. Coleman Boulevard's being redeveloped by the town of Mount Pleasant and other developers, so there's a lot of shopping. There's a Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, you've got a lot of things around you. And again, if you want to be as close as you can be to Charleston and in Mount Pleasant in a single family neighborhood, then Bayview Acres is definitely a place you'd want to start. Like I mentioned earlier, there's a little central park in Bayview Acres, so you've got some playground equipment, basketball goals, and a place for kids to throw football. But with honestly, with half-acre lots that most of these houses sit on, you've got plenty of yard space. But this is just a nice little, I guess, added amenity. And as you see, when we come out of here, we're going to come right out on Coleman Boulevard, which puts us right next to a ton of shopping, and a lot of redevelopment of the area is right around us. All right, so we're continuing along. We came off of Coleman Boulevard and we're coming into the Groves. And the Groves is a community that was built in the 1950s, very similar to Bayview Acres, which we just left. And, bigger lots, probably one of the better boat launches into Shem Creek of any neighborhood in the area. And these houses, a lot of it's been, being restored and redone. Again, the house was built in the 50s, so they're going to be, most of the time they're going to be crawl space houses or slab houses. There's not a heavy homeowners association back here, so you can leave your boat in the yard if you want to. And the thing that's really great about the Groves is that you're able to, get to downtown Charleston in a couple of minutes. Very quick access to Coleman Boulevard, but you also can use this as a means to get over to 17 and over to more shopping, the Publix, grocery store, and some of these other places are up the road. But I'll ride you guys through here and let you kind of check this out. Over the years I've taken people through here, and I think a lot of people like the Groves. They like the beautiful oak trees. Some people like the idea that they don't have a overreaching homeowners association, so you're not being told nickel and dime what you can and can't do. But there are certainly some, spots through here that could use a little more polishing. But I think if you're looking for a location that's, close to the beach and close to Shem Creek, which we're, literally right next to right now, this is a great spot to consider. And homes range back here, as of shooting this video, anywhere from the 400,000s on up to the ones on the creek, and there's probably, I don't know, about 150 or 60 houses back here, and some of the ones on the creek are a couple $1 million. But I'd say the average price point on these is probably 600,000 or 700,000. You can see over here to our right that a lot of people have been buying these houses and redoing them over time. So I think there's it's all about, in real estate, everybody knows it's all about location, and this is one of the better locations in Mount Pleasant and one of the better locations in Charleston as far as, I think for affordability and access to everything. All right, y'all, we are heading out of the Groves and we're heading on West Coleman Boulevard. So downtown Charleston's behind us and we're heading out towards, if we kept staying straight on this road, we'd eventually, about a mile and a half, end up on Sullivan's Island. Before we get out that far, we're going to hit the Old Village, and the Old Village is, the oldest part of Mount Pleasant. Coleman Boulevard, again, what we're on right now, is being redeveloped by the town of Mount Pleasant. Over the next 10 to 15 years, this is going to have a totally different look to it, and it's just a great spot to base from. If you can afford the Old Village, which we're getting ready to ride through, it's probably one of my favorite places in all of Charleston. It's next to Shem Creek, which is what we're riding over right now. And I think I've mentioned this before, but I'm not a big fan of the restaurants on Shem Creek. I mean, if you want to go for lunch, I think they're great places to kind of hang out, have a cocktail, whatever, but not the best food in Charleston by any stretch of the imagination. So we're heading down Coleman, and Coleman kind of splits, and we're going to take the split that is Wilden Drive, and from Wilden it's going to turn into Royal Avenue, and we're going to be in Old Village and Old Mount Pleasant. So Old Mount Pleasant and Old Village, they're kind of used interchangeably, but the truth of the matter is everything from the harbor to Royal Avenue, which is what we're on right now, is considered Old Village, and it comes at a much more expensive premium. A lot of these houses, date back to pre-Revolutionary War days. Pitt Street, which we're going to be on here in a minute, is a very historic street that's been here forever. Just, really beautiful houses. I kind of just ride you through here, and you can kind of take in some of the old architecture, the moss hanging off the oak trees, just a really picturesque place to live. And, I spoke about this when we were in Bayview Acres a few minutes ago. One thing to keep in mind, and, there are parts of the Old Village that are really high, like the ground's high, and we're on a kind of a crested spot right now. There's places actually on the harbor that are, harborfront properties with deep water docks that are not even in a flood zone. Some of Old Village, though, is, in a flood zone that, your flood insurance rates, honestly, as they continue to reform flood insurance, could drift up. It's just, it's something to keep in the back of your mind. I wouldn't let it be a big concern, because I think that, most of the Old Village is in a pretty good spot as far as flood elevations and flood insurance goes. And you can, I think we cut a video on flood insurance some time ago you can watch, or I've got people you can talk to that can, insurance agents that can explain it better than I can. But something to keep in mind. But here we are turning onto Pitt Street, and again, predates the Revolutionary War. You've got little shops, restaurants. The Post House restaurant is right there. The old school soda fountain, Pitt Street Pharmacy, kind of cool. You've got a Village Bakery. Pitt Street, very walkable street. It runs along the harbor. Just a great place to be if you want to be in Charleston quickly and you want to be on Sullivan's Island quickly. This is kind of a good center spot in which to live. House prices in Old Village, which is where we are right now, probably in the $600,000 range on up to probably about $5 million if you're on the harbor. I sold a property last year on the harbor. It was 2.8 or something like that. But, that price point, because there's such a small amount of these properties that actually have docks on the harbor, it's a pretty big premium. And this is, an area that if you're from around here and somebody tells you they live in the Old Village, there's some status to it. It's an area too, though, if you're not from here and you ride through the Old Village, you may say, I really like it, or maybe it's not that polished. And it's because the Old Village doesn't really have, it has architectural review standards, and it has an Old Village review committee that all your house plans or renovation plans have to pass through, but it doesn't have a homeowners association that says you can't have your boat sitting in your yard. So, sometimes people come through here and they're not, if they don't understand it, then it's something maybe they don't like as much. But I mean, as you can see riding through here right now, it's beautiful. And we live back here. I mean, I've been in Charleston for probably about 25 years, and I've probably spent 15 of those years in either Old Village, which is where we are right now, or Old Mount Pleasant. And I can tell you, man, it's a great location. I lived here a lot when I went to college in Charleston, and I could get in, downtown Charleston in 10 minutes. So, really cool spot. We're coming up on Alhambra Hall, which is where Mount Pleasant was founded, and I think I've covered this before, but I'll say it again. Mount Pleasant was originally just this land across from Charleston Harbor, and they built a dance hall, and they would ferry boat people across on the weekends, and they would dance, and then they would take them back. And then over time, it's obviously been developed, but it's right now Alhambra Hall sits next to a park, a children's play park that you can bring your kids to. My sons Zach and Noah used to swing a lot in those swings, and we used to play a lot in this playground when they were born, and it was a really cool time in my life. Again, over to our right, and you can see the dogs chasing the ball, but this is Alhambra Hall. This is all public land, so you can come back here and throw the ball with your dog, throw a frisbee, have a picnic. They rent this out for corporate events. There's a lot of weddings, and you can see way out in the distance, you probably can see the church steeples and downtown Charleston. And then further out is Fort Sumter and Charleston Harbor. All right, y'all, so we're crossing over from Old Village into Old Mount Pleasant, and Royal Avenue again kind of is the line that separates Old Village from Old Mount Pleasant, which is what we're in right now. And there's a little bit of difference. I mean, Old Mount Pleasant, a lot of these houses were built in the 50s after the war, and what you're seeing is people are coming in and buying these old ranch houses, and they're tearing them down and building brand new construction. So you've got a lot of just really beautiful oak trees. You've got a baseball field, and this ties into Mount Pleasant Academy, which we're going to roll by here in just a second. But this is Old Mount Pleasant. So again, no real homeowners association, and as far as modifying a house, you don't have to jump through as many hoops as you do in Old Village, because this is not in the historic district of Mount Pleasant. It's called Old Mount Pleasant, but again, Old Village is the part that comes at a higher price and has more stringent architectural review. But you can see, the houses through here range anywhere from, probably for a decent house in the fours on up to probably $700,000-800,000, and even into $1 million plus range, just depending on the square footage of the house. And over here is Mount Pleasant Academy, which was torn down probably about probably 8 or 9 years ago and rebuilt. So it's a brand new school. It's a National Blue Ribbon school. Kids can ride their bikes to school. And Moultrie Middle School is right on the other side of this. So, the kids that grow up here in Old Mount Pleasant or Old Village are able to, from grade to middle school, ride their bicycles or walk to school. And, when school gets out in the afternoons, a lot of kids on the street. And it's just, it's a really cool place to be. And certainly a place that, if you're coming to Mount Pleasant and you're looking for something that has a lot of trees and a lot of yard space, this is a place that I would definitely consider. All right, guys, this wraps up part one of several parts of the driving tour of all the neighborhoods in Mount Pleasant. Again, my name's Bob Brennaman. I'm a realtor with the Brennaman Group, and you can always reach us with questions at 843-345-6074, or check us out on the web at charlestonproperty.net. Thanks so much, y'all.